Yo, what's up guys? Let's talk about the arcane weapons. I actually noticed I never made a arcane weapon video just yet. So I'm gonna be using all three of the normal elemental ones in a World Guild battle scenario and just see where they kind of fit best. I do have all three of them. I just made a fusion out of this one, so that definitely does help out. It's the easiest one to get, and I think actually one of the stronger ones as well. So this one is leveled up. The other two aren't fully leveled up, but they care a little bit less about the leveling, especially the Daisy. So let's see where I can actually use them and how they would fit, and also following up on the balance patch prediction of yesterday, how to maybe buff them if they're not performing that well. Okay, so these are the hits we're gonna do. We're gonna bring in a Nefties on a Swift set next to the Daisy for the strip. Actually, that's two different kind of strips, which is kind of interesting. We can strip into a Death Break plus an increased cooltime. We don't have the higher rate yet because we don't have skill ups, but we'll see if they're worth skill ups later on. And then we also have the attack into decrease the, or just decrease the duration of beneficial effects. So it does actually hit, so therefore it doesn't fully counter a more. I was kind of hoping it to counter a more, but it does actually deal damage, so therefore that part doesn't really help that way. But I had to find some team to place it in, and it felt better than using it on these kind of two teams. Well, actually, maybe we could actually place it on the bottom team. Well, yeah, it could be used against this because I would definitely outspeed these two, would definitely outspeed these. But in this case, I'm just going to use it as is because that team I cannot really use over there. And then into this. Then we have the team with the Cynthia, which we're just putting on full damage. We're trying to get it killed, and therefore we're fighting units that won't be hitting the other two units. So it's just like full damage. Like, that's kind of the thing, close to 300 crit damage. Let's see how it works. Plus a Lamila and that. Then we also have the final hit, which is going to be the Cecilia, which is the free-to-play unit, which is going to be a nuker on the skill 3, which does do a little bit more damage on harmful effects. I'm not sure if that's going to be that much damage. It does also provide defense break by itself, so it's not too bad if the Maximilian misses some defense breaks. And then the last two hits are just whatever hits that I normally tend to use. So let's actually go into those matches and let's see if those units actually perform decently. Yeah, the most interesting thing we can go for right now is try to decrease the skills. So let's actually see if we can do that. Oh wait, that's a what? I thought that was AoE as well. I'm hella potato. But in that case, it's actually not that bad per se. I actually, for some reason, thought that was AoE. I did not read skills properly. So now we can do this and also block them from getting any buffs, which is kind of nice. In this case, yeah, I definitely did mess up that part. Is it that strong though? I feel like that this has a lot of potential. You have the single target strip and the AoE strip, but is it good enough? I'm not too sure. So in this case, I actually, if I go for provokes, they're not gonna be killing this thing. So it will be a Lamila showcase. So in that case, I'm just gonna be using as once because you will definitely hit that thing. And I want everything to kind of kill that thing. That's the main thing to it. So if it dies off right now it goes for its hits, right? Oh, I thought it immediately went for a hit if he died. Okay, so cannot be doing anything. It's not as much damage as I was hoping to see from it, to be honest. Like, I was, like, from the amount of stats that we're having on this, Lamila showcase still. Like, Lamila just two-shot everything. Okay, not that crazy of a hit, so we outspeed this. We did miss 2 death breaks, so for that reason, we have death break potential on this. Well, we actually missed a lot of skills over here. How much damage are we looking at on this? 3k per hit, so death break coming in later and then a 9k-ish. That's mediocre damage. Maybe we should try that out with an attack break, that with an attack break it would start to do a lot more. That's definitely something we would have to check. So let's go for this. Let's hope we don't die to that thing on the right, because that is definitely a possibility with all of his crazy fast turns that it's taking. Or we just Tiana as to and then we clear everything. So far, neither of the three felt that strong. Okay, is this going to be shit ton of shield sets? Shit ton of shield sets. It is. I think I still have to take it out. We might have issues with this. Yep, that will probably hurt. That does definitely hurt. And the additional turn definitely does not help out neither, because now you have your bomb back already. And having your bomb back means that I will lose another unit on this, unless you miss. Nice, thank you. Oh, well, okay. I guess I'm sacking this one. That's how it works. Yeah, this Sonya is actually really bad, Sonya. Like, don't mind this Sonya. This is a terrible ass Sonya. But we're still winning because we're sacking a little bit. Sometimes those are the things you need in life. Sacking. That's how this game works. That's how this game works. Okay, it does have the S2 potentially. Well, ignore defense was enough. Then this team over here, which we're actually also outspeeding full on. That's a nice hit right there. And then we go for this, and now we spread all of that, and then this is the most OP team known to mankind. Well, Loki, it actually is one of the strongest teams out there. It's really darn strong. So yeah, let's actually switch up the teams a little bit to see if we can find a proper hit where I would say that the Daisy maybe can do a bit more damage when we use a Nefties and then an attack buff kind of style. Probably have to do like a Joe gun. I think that that would work for the Daisy. And then let's also find something where the other two units can maybe also shine a little bit more. So 1 second on that one. Okay, so let's go again. So in this case, we're using a Joe gun over here to have some bit more damage output. Would probably outspeed the Joe gun over there. This one, once again, trying it against a similar team. We have a typical Feng Yanger over there. This one might be a little bit tricky on the outspeed, we'll see. And this one, a little bit YOLO, but we'll see how good that YOLO goes over there. So let's see how much more we can do on these kind of hits right now. So as mentioned, we'll definitely outspeed, and we're still outspeeding. Well, there's nothing to strip, but sure thing. Let's go for this as well. Nearly everything kind of dead already, but let's see how much damage we're dealing on S3s right now. So if we crit 19k per hit, that is not per se that bad. We did also miss one crit. I think you're 99 crit rate, so we missed one crit over there. We did also full glance on the left side, which definitely does not really help out, but 19k per hit on a swift bolt, it's not that bad, I would say. And it's a self-death break setup kind of unit, but it was on a full nuker build, so I'm not fully sure if I'm that enthusiastic about it. So let's see if we get that unit to be taken out. Yep, we do. So now we can actually go for some full-on skills to see if we can get it to hit a bit harder. So we go for this, we go for that. So we have Death Breaks. This should be the most insane amount of damage output right now, right? Death Break, Armor Break, 2k, or 22k. This is like a 300 crit damage set. Like, keep that in mind. Sure, it's not an attack buff, but that is, once again, a Lamila Loki showcase. To be honest, the team composition, as you look at it, it looks pretty darn strong, though. Like, that's definitely a thing out there. This thing, if it starts proccing a lot, could be a little bit annoying. Let's just go for an S2. Definitely have to try to take you out first. Where does that skill go to? Over there, that's fine. Let's just use this because you still have S2 and S3 available. So just an S2 wouldn't do all too much neither. Another skill 4. That's why I don't like this Quillian Slasher. Most of the time, it's just hella spamming its S4s for no reason. And then it's like, if he had good AI on the S4s, it would have made a lot more sense on that whole unit, but it doesn't do that. And therefore, like him on defense, it's kind of RNG. It can work from time to time, but in a lot of cases, I'm like, yeah, I could have done a little bit better on right rotations, on right skill moments, rather than just spamming off skill 4 right off the get-go. Laura doing Laura things, not an issue whatsoever as well. This thing has like no damage whatsoever on a skill 1 at the moment anyways. Just a skill 2 that can potentially stun, but not something to really be afraid of. Like, the only thing that you can actually be scared of on a team like this is the Carcano. If the Carcano gets in state, plus defense break, plus bunch of procs and that kind of stuff, could be kind of annoying, but this thing can proc all at once. It's like, you're barely dealing any damage, man. Like, that's some real damage right there. And then we take it out. Simple as that. And this one, we do actually outspeed, but after the outspeed, we are gonna get outsped. So this is actually kind of what I wanted to go for. So in this case, you could go for an increased cooltime on the S2, because the other two are slower. In most cases, you would have just rather seen it where you would have done the... Oh, well, no activation. That's also an option. Straight up no activation. Yeah, that also doesn't really work. With that going in, I think we just go for an S3 just to push back everything a little bit. Yep, we have the threat state still sitting at you. Yeah, this is definitely not a showcase for Daisy where I would say Daisy is doing legit anything. Okay, I get a death break on myself, so maybe not the smartest of moves, but at least you can handle punch for that for just a little bit. And skill 1 is just the glancing. That doesn't really add too much. We get some maxi value in there. Your good tank value, I guess. Can we crit this? Nope. Can we do some proper damage to that? Would take it out after that hit. That is nice. Well, you're kind of tanking. That's one thing. Why are you putting that one in the back? I wanted to keep that one alive. Well, let's not crit. That's also a thing that we could do. Not crit. Damage, no damage. We bring it back. I don't like that. Can we potentially crit? Nope, potentially no crit. So we lose our unit. Okay, I feel like Daisy is by far the worst of them so far. If we can get an additional turn on this right now, I could still see me winning. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Maximilian. That is definitely one way to still make it work. Yeah, the Daisy for the strip, it is a bit faster, but the follow-up doesn't really work. So something has to be added to it where you get a little bit more value out of your follow-up, I would say. And once again, Tomoe goes for a stun. We like the looks of those things. And then, yeah, whole team dead again. Like, especially if they don't outspeed you. It's just way too much damage coming in. Like, if the team would outspeed you, it's something, but this team, I've been recommending it for so long, build this team, absolutely. So let's look at the verdict on the units and where I would say they need a little bit of a buff or where they could go for a little bit of a change. So if we go to the units over here, easiest findable over here. Let's start off with the free-to-play one. This is the Fusion. I kind of like the Death Break, so you don't need a Death Break setup for it. But therefore, also the extra damage for each harmful effect is a little bit weird because you already bring the Death Break and a lot of debuff landers already have a Death Break in there. So I would have rather seen a brand rather than a Death Break. However, it is still kind of nice that it defense breaks multiple hits. So you don't need that much accuracy, you could still potentially land it. But I would have rather seen this on a... you have a lot of good Death Breaks in Graham already. If this would have been an AoE brand and then extra damage, I would have liked it. Damage output could be a little bit higher by my taste, but it was okay. Also build-wise, it was a pretty decent set. It was not pure full-on damage kind of set, but it was an okay set right there. Looking at the fire one, I felt that this damage was kind of mediocre. I kind of expected this the moment that you take fatal damage to right away start using the S2. But it only starts using the S2 when it takes a turn when it's in this passive already. So you can go twice for this S2. Good thing about this is that you can actually use it for just letting it die and then just lowering its A to B all the time. So it can technically never die and therefore you get a really good fire tank out of it. It's just a little bit weird that with the 2 turns, like, it would be nice if it starts revenging this then at a certain rate. Like, if it is in the States and it starts revenging, it would be a lot stronger. Then it would definitely be a siege offense kind of unit, which I could see being very strong. And this one, it does have the high base speed, it does have this, but I feel like you need some extra on this. Otherwise, you need a super fast unit to follow up as well. Because, for example, if you're talking Jogun, Jogun has the speed increase. If you're talking Laura, Laura has the speed buff. If we're talking Wunsa, Wunsa has the speed increase. Like, there's all of those kind of units that they are that fast for a strip also do something extra. Plus, this hit that is a... I thought it was AoE for a second, but apparently it's totally not. It does strip and defense break and increase cooltime. That is decent for the longevity of the match, but this is more of a turn one. Has to kill, has to... Or not has to kill, has to strip, has to put these things down. It does actually work against the Heigang, but then again... Then what? Like, then you'd have too much of a speed gap, and putting this thing on Despair, putting this thing on Vio, I'm not too sure about that. Also, I'm not 100% sure. If you put this on Despair and you were to Despair Heigang, would it still count as a cleanse? I don't think so, but that is something to maybe try out when this thing is actually buffed, because in current state, even if that would not be the case, it's still kind of bad. So it might be a value on a Despair unit in the future. But I think all 3 of them could kind of use a buff. I see most potential in the free-to-play one, which is the Cecilia. I think she has pretty decent damage output. If you need a water nuker, it's kind of decent out there to go for her. And it's like a backup defense break, which is not that bad in its sense as well. There is a speed lead on this one, however, but I feel like that this is also the most misplaced speed lead, because with these skills that you're having right now, a speed lead added in it, I don't really see the value on it. So that's my take on it. Let me know in the comments where you guys would like to use these units or what kind of buffs that you would place on them. And see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.